Today, we are exposing the dark side of influencer marketing. So, are brand deals opportunities for creators to do what they do best and also make a few bucks, or are they deceptive marketing tactics? For the first time, I'm exposing the industry today. Welcome back to Cody J Uncensored, the podcast where we take a closer look at the beauty industry, peel back the layers, and dive deep into what's really going on behind the scenes. I'm your resident pro MUA and beauty expert, Cody J. Today, I'm pulling back the curtains on some of the most shocking and downright unethical practices happening behind the scenes in influencer marketing. It's happening right in front of your face, and you don't even realize it. If you've ever wondered what really goes on in those brand deals, brace yourself. This episode is gonna get real. Now, we've all seen influencers talking about quote-unquote honest reviews and sharing their favorite products, but what happens when brands and creators cross ethical and legal lines to manipulate their audiences? Spoiler alert, it's not pretty. For starters, I haven't just been a content creator for the last 6 years. My agency has been working behind the scenes in social media and influencer marketing for well over a decade, and at this point, I've seen it all. Creators do so many dirty things, and brands do even more. I'm kind of nervous about this episode because for the first time, I'm actually going to give you some direct and actual insight into some of the terribly unethical requests that I've personally received as a beauty influencer. And before we go further, I just want to make it abundantly clear, I personally have never accepted a partnership of any kind that requested me to do or say something deceptive or manipulative or wrong in any way. I care very much about my audiences, and trust to me is everything. Being authentic and honest is everything. So, with that being said, let me spill some tea. So let's start with one of the most common requested things that brands ask creators to do, and it's just not lawful at the end of the day, but of course not ethical, and that's disguising ads as authentic or organic content. So essentially a brand will reach out to a creator, they do their whole negotiation, the creator or influencer agrees to a specific amount of money in exchange for creating a review. And in that review, the creator is told to not market as an ad, to basically lie to their audience and say that it's not an ad. And there's a few reasons why a brand would ask that. So for starters, of course, a brand wants that creator's ad to be received as organically and as well as possible from the viewers or that influencer's followers on social media. They want those viewers to truly believe every word that's coming out of that creator's mouth and to not feel like that creator was swayed in any way. Another one of the biggest reasons that a brand would ask a creator to not disclose an ad properly or at all is because they don't want the algorithms on these social platforms to suppress their content. Because let me tell you, on the creator side and honestly the brand side, I know very, very well, more than most, that the moment you put hashtag ad, sponsored, partnership, anything like that, or use any of the disclosure tools, like Instagram has like a paid partnership label that you can toss on there just to make sure like you're really making it known that it's a partnership, it immediately will kill your video. Immediately. Because at the end of the day, these platforms don't want ads to be shown from creators or brands. They want their own in-platform ads, the social platforms I mean, they want their own in-platform ads to be viewed as much as possible. So they don't want to compete with anyone else. So you certainly get your content suppressed. And on the brand side, we all know this. So, just because we see a creator or an influencer have, a certain amount of average viewership, we understand that the moment they post an ad, that it's going to be slashed like dramatically. So we're well aware of that. And usually if you're good at what you do on, the brand side of things, you build out the overall deliverables and the campaign and the contract with the creator to make sure that you're getting as much bang for your buck, because you know that the video itself is going to be, it's not going to do as well as it normally would if it was, an organic piece of content. Ultimately, it only creates a bad situation. So when a creator does not mark their content legally, of course, and disclose it properly, one, it just shows that you're a bad person and you're not a good creator, period. And that you'll take a paycheck over having actual trust and connection and a relationship with your audience and having their best interests at hand. And to me, that's disgusting. You shouldn't have a platform, period. But like more than anything, it's sneaky, it's unethical. And as a viewer, you think that you're watching a genuine review or a recommendation, but in reality, most of the times it's just creators reading a script by the brand. And like I said, I've been asked so many times to not properly disclose partnerships, and clearly, I've never done that. I would never do that. And I, obviously for legal reasons, am not going to throw out brand names, but one of the largest beauty brands in the world who had a mascara controversy with a large creator last year, that's all I'll say, or 2 years ago, I forget, I don't know how long things have been at this point, but that brand asked me multiple times to, bury my disclosure hashtags at the end of a caption, which isn't legal, or to not use a paid partnership, toggle, or, all these things to just not disclose it. And I said over and over and over that I would not. So much so that they would deny and reject my video drafts, because you also have to give them, the caption that you're planning on using, and everything has to be approved. And they would deny it over and over and over. And their criticism of why they were rejecting it was that, they did not want me to have hashtag ad or hashtag, insert brand name, partner, and all those things at the top of my caption. And I told them over and over. And the one time I said, either I'm going to end this contract, I'm going to terminate this contract, and you're going to be charged a kill fee for it and for breaching contract, which means I'm going to make much more money than what I would normally be making from that partnership, or you're going to follow the law and you're going to approve this content so I can post it, because now we're a week past the due date because you have not approved my content solely because you want me to break the law. Like, I went off on them, and then guess what? Next day they approved it. And at the end of the day, you as a creator or as an influencer should not be afraid to fight back and push back, especially when it comes to legal things. You should always have your best interest at hand, legally speaking. You know what I mean? Do not post a video that's a paid partnership and not disclose it. There are things that you have to do and games you have to play the correct way, of course, in order to be a creator or an influencer. It's not just a free-for-all where you just get to post videos, make money, and all good. No, there's legal recourse first and foremost, but there are actual laws that govern what we can and cannot do, and you need to abide by them, period. I mean, for starters, because you should always want to protect yourself legally, but more than anything, so you actually have a genuine and honest relationship with the people who are consuming your content. Mind you, those are the people that even put you in the position to get that paid partnership opportunity in the first place. If you're on the brand side listening to this, if you're someone that continues to try and, cross that line and make creators, again, no creator can be made to do anything. If you're a creator, you choose to break the law, period. But if you're on the brand side and you're continuously trying to get creators to do things, you're not a good brand, and you should be called out and you should be exposed by people who actually have money and can take you down or fight you legally, because you're going to do this to the wrong person, someone who actually has power, connection, and money, and that influencer is going to take you for a little legal ride. But that's all I'm going to say about that. So another thing that I have been asked to do in the past is to lie about another brand and have that be what I'm being paid to do. So one of the very first potential paid opportunities I got was from a skincare brand that's based out of Australia. And I was super excited because I had already been using their products. And just so you know, the majority of the time when I do a paid partnership, it's for products I'm already using and have been using. So it allows me to create a much more authentic review and more of an educational moment. Like, I can really go deep into what I'm talking about. If it's not a product that I've used a lot in the past, then I'm doing a first impressions video in that partnership, and I always make it very clear. So I'm always very specific with the language I use in my paid partnerships so that there's no doubt on what kind of partnership it is, whether it's a review-based one where I've used it a bunch, a first impressions where I'm just talking about my experiences in that moment with you, or it's where I'm just simply talking about a product to introduce it to you. I'm always very clear, and I feel like most creators and influencers are not very clear in their partnerships, and that creates issues in of itself. But anyway, this brand reached out to me and I was super excited. They offered me $1,400. And again, this was 6 years ago. They offered me $1,400. I'd never done a paid partnership. I was a very, very new creator, all the good things. And I was so excited because I was like, there's no way this is a legitimate brand. I already use their skincare. I use their body care more than anything. And I'm like, $1,400, that's amazing. I was like, yeah, I would love to hear more, blah, blah, blah. And so they sent me the campaign brief over, and I was appalled because even day one, I was like, this is not cute. And all they wanted me to do was talk about this other brand, their main competitor, and just basically shit talk them. Not talk about what I like about the actual brand's products or my experiences using it thus far. They wanted me to just simply make a video and be like, this other brand, this product, it's terrible, doesn't work. Basically that's what they wanted me to do. And I was beside myself because I had been in the game for several months at the time. Again, still very, very new, but I was just appalled, and I emailed them back a scathing email. I said, I'm obviously paraphrasing, because it's been so many years, but I remember the situation very clearly. But I was like, you have got the wrong one. I was aggressive, and I'm more professional in my responses now, but back then I was just like, who the F do you think you are? You know what I mean? I can cut a brand professionally, no problem. But back then I was a little bit more unhinged, but I was just like, you got the wrong one. I was like, I don't know what about me or my content that you saw or whatever that you thought that I would sit here and take money to lie. I said, it's so crazy. And I was like, this just shows me that these other larger creators who have talked about, these types of situations, we're not lying, that that you as a brand, do disgusting things like that. I said, do not ever send me product. I said, never email me back again. I said, you're lucky I don't make a video about this right now and show these emails, and what's going on. I was like, you should be ashamed at this offer that you just gave me. I said, why would it make more sense to you to have me just trash talk your competitor rather than just making a really good video talking about your products, especially because I already use your product, and that's what I told them basically. And they never emailed me. They blocked me on all platforms, and I'm like, as you should, bitch, as you should. So if I've had that experience, I can guarantee you there's a large amount of creators, influencers that have had similar experiences. people will see a creator's video and it's like they'll all like collectively be saying the same kind of thing in the comments, like, this seems like a very aggressive review towards this brand or this product. Like, in the past, against like this other product, like, in the past you weren't so, mean about them, or you like them, and now all of a sudden you hate them and all the things. Like, there's a big beauty influencer right now, not the one at the top that you're thinking of, a different one that's been in the game for a long time, who was criticized earlier this year about, I think it was a lip product, like a lipstick, but it was like a lip stain from, a pretty affordable brand. And everyone's like, this is way over the top. Like, you're clearly getting paid to trash talk them because this makes no sense. But so if you think people are doing that, they unfortunately do. Something that kind of goes hand in hand with that is when brands will send you product with like a super tight turnaround time, talking like a day or two, which me personally, I always offer 1 to 2 day turnaround time because I'm somebody that works from home. I work my own schedule. I have my own company, like, and what I do as a creator is just kind of hand in hand with my agency. So it's like my schedule is whatever I want it to be. So I'm able to offer 1 to 2 day turnaround time. And for me, I offer that because I can make more money that way in my overall, partnership agreement. But also it's really great for the brand because they know they'll get their content right away and they don't have to worry about it. But what is bad about that situation for other creators is when brands are reaching out to them and they say, we want this done in like, 24 to 48 hours, they overnight them the product, or they tell them to go pick up the product and they reimburse them. And that creators never use the product. They don't have time to use the product, but you better believe they'll hop on camera for a fat paycheck and talk about how much they love this product and have been using it forever, even though no one's ever seen them use it, which, mind you, just because somebody, has used a product for a long time doesn't mean they're automatically going to post videos about it on social media. Like, there's hundreds of products that I've used that I've never once talked about on social media because you can only talk about so many products so often, you know what I mean? So I just want to clarify that. But there are certainly times where brands have reached out to me and have been like, hey, I'll overnight you this product. Like, we need a video. Can you do it in the next, day or two? And it's like, I can, but I always tell them, like, I need time. I'm a professional makeup artist. I create content that's educational and thorough. I get very granular with most of the products I talk about, with as far as the price point and comparisons, ingredients, all the things, performance, longevity. I do foundation reviews and you keep it on all day long so I can give you a wear test, like things like that. And, they'll want you to review a product essentially without ever using it. And again, you better believe there are people that are doing that. And it's just so disingenuous. Like, why, as a creator, are you not pushing back and saying, no, I would love to do this partnership, but I'm going to need a little bit of time to try out this product so I can create an authentic and, actually well thought out, well-rounded review for my audience, because that's a benefit to them. You know what I mean? You can and you should be pushing back and saying those types of things and not just blindly taking a paycheck. I get that we all need and want money because bills have to get paid and there's things we want to do in life, but that doesn't mean you need to throw away your morals and also break the law in order to do so. Now, next, you all know that people love to, leave fake reviews or make fake reviews. Everything these days is just fakery, honestly, it really is. But let's talk about filtering your skin in a paid partnership. Now, depending on the niche that you're in, that's sometimes not a problem. Like, if you're in the tech industry or real estate and you're doing a partnership, who cares what your skin looks like? That has nothing to do with the integrity of the video or the product or service that is, you're essentially being paid to talk about. Now, in the beauty industry, it most certainly is. If you're taking a skincare partnership, but you're, smoothing out your skin and, fixing your skin, post recording the video, that's ridiculous. Not only is that actually illegal, but it's just deceptive and gross, but same thing with beauty tutorials. If you're just somebody that's creating, a tutorial and, it's an eyeshadow tutorial, maybe you make your skin nicer. Like, to me, that's not a problem because you're not reviewing or focusing on the part of your face that you're altering, if that makes sense. If you're doing a foundation review and you're smoothing your skin or, making it look better than it is, that's deceptive and that's not okay. But imagine doing that during a paid partnership. Not only are you getting paid to talk about the product, but you're getting paid to talk about a product and then also alter its performance and appearance in order to have the people watching your video have a better, thought process or opinion on it. And again, not only is that gross, and not only does it actually violate platform guidelines if you actually read them, but it's illegal. So one brand specifically that I wanted to talk about, again, I'm not gonna actually say the name, but they had reached out to me a couple of years ago and asked me to do 4 videos. Not only did they try to slap me in the face with the rate and I pushed back and got what I was, rightfully owed, but what was appalling to me in that situation was this is a brand that has brow tools. They have, tweezers and scissors, all that kind of stuff. And they wanted me to do 4 videos and just using, each video had one of those products. So one was a brow tutorial using the tweezers and how I clean up my brows. One was using the scissors and the little blade to shape them. So stuff like that had nothing to do with my skin, had nothing to do with makeup. It was literally all about my brows. And I sent them the videos. They were great, quick videos, really easy to do. And I was like, cool, this is easy money. But their response to me was that they loved the videos, they loved, the information I gave, the techniques that I was doing. But could you revise this video and either redo the video and put makeup on, or filter your skin and make your skin a little bit better? Over here by your cheek, we could see some of your skin texture, and that could be very off-putting to people who are gonna watch this as an ad. And I responded very offended, and I said, first and foremost, I always kind of say the same thing when people disrespect me like that. I'm like, I don't know where you got the notion that you think that I would lie in a video like that or deceive my audience. I said, but furthermore, this video is not about makeup whatsoever. I said, so why does it matter what my skin looks like? I said, everyone has some sort of texture on their skin. I said, normally my skin texture is not really noticeable. You really don't see it. I said, I work very hard on my skin, and that's just something that I've gotten my skin to do or to be, not show a lot of texture. I said, but when I'm zooming in that close to my eyebrows so that it's, right there, I'm like, you're gonna see pores. You're gonna see texture when essentially the lens is a half an inch away from my face for this video. I said, so no, I'm not gonna smooth my skin out. I said, that's ridiculous. I said, this video is not about foundation or makeup. I said, and if you're gonna ask me to do that for a product like that, I'd also tell you to go screw yourself, because that's ridiculous. I said, but this is about my eyebrows and eyebrow tools, and you're sitting here concerned about what my skin looks like or my skin texture is. I was like, that's ridiculous. I said, flat out, no, absolutely not. I was like, if we wanna just walk away from this partnership, I'm fine with that. I said, because I will not be participating in that. I said, I'll happily send over an invoice for the kill fee because you're, trying to make me do something illegal, and that breaches the contract. And I think it was like maybe 3 days, maybe 4, but I feel like it was 3. It doesn't even matter. That it took for them to respond, and they're like, your videos are approved. No further modification or revision is necessary. Please post them on the agreed upon dates. And I'm like, exactly. But since then, I've never worked with them again. I don't showcase their products at all whatsoever. I don't follow them, nothing. Because I'm just like, that's ridiculous to me. Like, more than anything, that's ridiculous. Now, here's something I don't feel like I've ever seen someone talk about, and that's basically the drama around stealing creators' content. So I was on Facebook, like my personal Facebook one time, and my godmother had tagged me in a video. It was an advertisement for a lash system. It was like a lash binder, like a clip to apply your lashes, but it was magnetic. I'd never used a magnetic one. I had used a lash binder years and years ago and had made a YouTube video about it. So she tagged me, and before I could open it up, I could just see a preview of her text, like her comment, and it said that she was so proud of me, because again, this was like early in my career. She was so proud of me. She saw the ad that I was in, just so proud. And I was like, what ad? Because my bank account certainly does not see where an ad happened. So I click on that link on Facebook, and sure enough, a brand, I have no idea, it's just some drop ship brand, never heard of them before, definitely not like a legitimate brand, had taken my YouTube video from Lash Binder and chopped it up into pieces and created essentially a new video, making it seem like I was using their product, which, mind you, I'd never heard of this brand, had never heard of their product, had never used their product, all the things. So when you're watching the video that they made out of my video, they were throwing up pop-ups and little text things and pictures, and the whole time was making it seem like I was using their product. So essentially you're using my face, my influence which I had no influence back then, but I'm just saying, you're using all that to benefit and make it seem like I was endorsing you, and that's ridiculous because, again, never heard of you before. So that was crazy, but that's not even the main problem. The main problem was that they did that, and then in order for me to have them take it down, because I commented on it, I sent them DMs, all of the things. I'm like, you need to take this down. This is theft. This is literally copyright infringement. This is illegal. All the things. Plus, this isn't even your product. What's wrong with you? All the things. I was so mad. But they went to blackmail me, and I know they do this to other creators too, to pay them to take it down. And I said, absolutely not. So I went to the legal section of Facebook, or Meta, it wasn't Meta back then, and issued an actual intellectual property takedown. I believe it's called a DMCA, and it was taken down a couple days later. I just had to provide proof that I showed them the link and the video and everything, timestamps of my video on YouTube several months prior, and all these things, and my communications with them, telling them to take it down, stuff like that. And then Facebook ultimately took it down and actually banned that page for theft. So brands, I've seen that happen a lot, where people are literally just stealing creators' content, making it, cutting it up and changing a little bit, and then throwing it up and making it seem like this creator had endorsed them, and it's just crazy. Okay, so this next situation is kind of wild, and I fully believe and absolutely know without a doubt that it's still happening, and that is sending an influencer an empty bottle of foundation and asking them to film a review. Yeah, you heard that right. So a brand who went through a huge bankruptcy lawsuit moment over the last couple years. They worked with a lot of high-profile influencers, including multiple that are just canceled, even though no one actually is able to be canceled anymore, it seems. They had sent me, first off, they had me sign an NDA, and I was like, okay, cool, sign the NDA, just so they could tell me what the product was that was coming out. And it was for a foundation. And they're like, we're not actually ready to ship this foundation to anyone yet. Like, nobody knows this is even coming out yet, but we want you to create a review for it. That way it's ready to go. As soon as it's actually announced and launched, we want it like on launch, or on the day that they announce this foundation, we want your video up right then and there. So I was like, okay, but if you're not ready to send it to anyone, how am I going to review it? And they're like, all you have to do is we're going to send you just the empty bottles of it, and just make sure that you can't see the fact that there's no foundation in it. And then off camera, just use a different foundation, just something that you think is kind of similar to it, especially in the shade. And I'm like, again, how am I supposed to see the shade if, like, to compare it if it's not in the bottle? But anyway, I was like, I wouldn't do that. So I was like, to clarify, you want me to work with you and pretend I'm using a foundation, pretend I'm using your foundation, one that you don't actually have inside this bottle. For what purpose? Because that's ridiculous. Because ultimately you're wanting me to lie to my audience, and pretend that a foundation is doing X, Y, and Z, or just, repeat their talking points on a product that I don't actually even have. Like, that honestly is one of the craziest experiences and proposals that I've gotten. But I was just like, absolutely not. I'm like, this is just crazy to me. I was like, I would never, that's crazy. It's crazy. You literally want a creator to talk about your product while not actually using your product. I said, absolutely not. I blocked them in a heartbeat. And something that's like kind of similar to that, but like not really, was I've had a brand where I had put up a review about their product, didn't like their product. This is recent. And did not love it. And they offered to pay me money to take down the review. And I'm like, Miss Ma'am, I'm not one of these big influencers where millions of people are watching every single one of my videos to where, just because I don't like it, it could like be a detriment to you. And mind you, I don't care if it's a detriment to you. If I don't like it, I don't like it, period. You can't make me change my thoughts on your products at the end of the day. If I don't like it, I don't like it. And I'm gonna tell people I don't like it. But they wanted to pay me to take down my review, my very thought out, well-rounded, just authentic review. They wanted me to take down that review in exchange for a certain amount of money. And I said, absolutely not. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, and it's something I actually was talking about with my friend the other day. It's ridiculous, the fact that you can't handle criticism, because if I was a regular consumer, you wouldn't be reaching out to them trying to bribe them to take down a negative review, would you? And if you are, you're disgusting. But as a mutual and as, somebody that knows exactly what my job is, as like a creator or influencer, you think that I would accept a paycheck to take down an honest review? Absolutely not. And I can't wait for that brand to be exposed. Now, here's another situation that's kind of wild. So this is not about euphoria. I want to make that very clear. This example, this situation is not about euphoria, but I want to compare it to the euphoria scandal, which they've had many, but the recent one was, of course, how, they had the black foundation and it was literally just like black paint. It was just no undertones, no nothing. It was just an absolute slap in the face to black creators, consumers, people, everything. It was just an absolute disrespectful, disgusting moment. But prior to that, one of the other situations they had was being called out for having shades on their website that were advertised that were certainly not the shade that were on the box when, creators or consumers received it. And it was also certainly not the shade of the actual product. It was very deceptive. They were making it try to seem, allegedly, make it seem like, they have more of a diverse range of undertones and shades for a foundation than what actually was created. So I've had an unfortunate experience, and I'm a boring ass Casper White dude, so this makes the situation even worse. But a brand had reached out, they wanted me to review their foundation. I actually sent them multiple videos where I had already reviewed their foundation and had talked about it a lot in the past, and I liked their foundation. Again, this is not Euphoria that did this. And I had told them that, here's links to my videos, love your foundation, I've been using it for a long time, and they wanted me to do a paid partnership with them, and I was like, absolutely. I created my video, all the good things, super excited. It was very easy because, again, I used their foundation like nonstop. Sent it to them over for review, and they denied it. And I was like, what about it do you not like? And they said, actually, the shade that we sent you, the updated shade, it's quite a bit different than the one you have. Like, if you could go ahead in post-production, essentially increase the saturation and the undertones, blah, blah. They essentially wanted me to alter my skin tone so that it looked more similar or more accurate to the shade that they advertise on their website. And I'm just like, no. So I respond to them. I said, to clarify, you want me to alter my skin tone so that it's more accurate in correlation to the shade that you're advertising on your website? And they said, yes, that's exactly what we're looking for. And I'm like, why don't you, what I said to them, I don't remember exactly my phrasing, but I basically told them, I was like, well, why don't you just have that shade available in the first place, or work with somebody whose skin tone is that shade instead of me? And they're like, well, after we saw your videos with the product, like, we just really wanted to work with you basically and thought you'd be a good representation of our product. I'm like, and I appreciate that. And that is true and would be more true if you just let me post this video the way it is, because it's authentic and honest, and I'm not going to participate in this whole conversation and this behavior of you wanting me to alter my skin tone so that it seems like your foundations actually match the shades on your freaking website. Just make the shades that you're advertising on your website. It's not that hard. So I terminated that contract. I did not work with them. When I have situations or experiences like this with a brand, you'll never catch me working with them again, because it's like, if you're going to do that one time, you're doing it to other people, not just me, and you'll continue to do it. So, and again, I make my money, 99.9% of my money comes from my agency. It has nothing to do with what I do as a creator at all. And I had several years where all my income came as a creator, as a full-time creator for many years, but especially this last couple of years. And now I don't prioritize my content. I don't prioritize paid partnerships. I reject 99.9% of paid opportunities, because if I don't like them, I don't want them. I can afford to be very, very picky. I've always been very picky, but I can afford to be like over the top picky. If it's not the most perfect situation for me, like perfect, I'm like, nope, not interested. I have other stuff to focus on that actually pays my bills, So I don't know. I just thought that situation was so crazy that rather than actually offering something that you're advertising, like actually creating something that you're advertising, you want a creator to alter their skin tone. That is blasphemy. And the reason I brought up the Euphoria scandal was it's like there seems to be a lot of negative behavior, inappropriate, just horrible, disgusting behavior in the beauty industry, especially, I almost want to say primarily, when it comes to complexion related products. I don't understand how going into 2025, how it's such a problem for brands to have an inclusive and diverse range of shades for their products. So this next experience was it's laughable at this point. It's laughable. So this was an electric, I think you can consider it a scooter, but like not, I don't know. But this company, so they reached out to me and they're like, we have an exciting opportunity. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. So all they wanted me to do, so they wanted me to create content before, during, and after an event. They were having a launch event in Los Angeles. I currently live in Florida. And at that time, I believe it was when I was living in Ohio. So it's across the entire United States. And they wanted me to create all this content, do a live stream while I was at this event in Los Angeles. I'm like, okay, that's a lot of deliverables. And they also wanted me to give them, and stories too. They also wanted me to give them content, and so they could use it on their social. So it's like a huge overall bundle of deliverables. Definitely would be worth a fat price point, but they didn't want to pay me. What they wanted was for me to pay for my airfare from Ohio to Los Angeles, pay for my hotel, not get reimbursed for anything, pay for my Ubers to the event, create all that content in exchange for one of their electric little scooter things, which again, I'm not gonna say the brand name, but it's like a household name. But I thought that was crazy. I'm like, so you want me to do all this for free, essentially for a scooter thing that I'll never use? Like, that was ridiculous. And that's what I told him. I said, that scooter's not gonna pay my electric bill this month. Like, what's wrong with you? I told him, and as I've been in this industry longer and longer, like, I definitely am more cutthroat in my responses, but like also I'm like professional about it. But like, I gave them hell. And it's like, and I always do, because it's like, if you're going to disrespect me, like, there's no chance that I'm going to work with you in the future. So I will basically, I don't want to say I'll disrespect you right back, but like I do in like a professional way. I'll tell them exactly like how it is and why what they're doing is disgusting and predatory and all these different things, and just like throw it right back in their face. And I'm just like, don't ever message me again. So those are a few examples that I wanted to share with you on some of the personal experiences that I've had, because, I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight into kind of the deceptive and disgusting practices that go on behind the scenes. I feel like most people think that this industry, like the content creator industry, influencer industry, these partnerships are just like all fun, glitz and glitter and glam, and just like, oh, they're making some money to talk about, blah, 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 and they're being honest. No, so many people are liars. Brands are liars. Yes, creators can be so shady. Influencers can be straight up lying to your face, but don't just blame them. Blame the brands that are approving these videos, because let me just tell you a little bit of extra insight. No creator or influencer that's being paid is allowed to just simply throw up their content, wipe their hands of it, and call it a day. You have to create your content. You have to follow a campaign brief. You have to send it in for review. It goes through different types of review, and everything has eyes on it on the brand side before it's allowed to be approved to go up on a specific date and time. Just so you know. So when you see one of the largest beauty influencers get called out for a disgustingly deceptive, lie straight to your face mascara ad, just know that brand that they've worked with, I've worked with 15 times in my career, and they are one of the most picky, over the top brands when it comes to evaluating your content and approving it. So if you think the creator's just at fault, no, the brand is also at fault too. So hold them accountable for that deceptive partnership, period. And that's not just that situation, just in general. When you see an influencer being called out for a deceptive marketing practice or not disclosing an ad, blah, 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 just know it's also the fault of the brand too, because the brand approved that caption to bury the hashtag ad or the disclosure at the bottom of the caption, which is illegal. It has to be at the top. It has to be separate from other hashtags. It has to be above the fold in a caption. Like there has to be a verbal disclosure if it's a video, like some things like that. So just know the brand is at fault as much as the influencer. So start holding them accountable too. So what can we take away from all of this? For one, transparency matters. If you're a viewer, ask yourself, is this content authentic? Is the creator being honest? Do they have a track record for being honest or dishonest? Because that should definitely be something that you think about. Don't be afraid to question what you're seeing online. Don't get me wrong, I get so tired of when I post a video about a product or doing like a full face of just like one product from a brand and I'm excited about a product and I'll see the comments like, is this a partnership? Is this a non-disclosed ad? And my response always is, if this was a paid partnership, it would be disclosed as such. And I get really annoyed about that because it's like, I've never done anything to make somebody think that I would lie to them. I've never done anything that was dishonest or inauthentic or unorganic, anything like that. So it's like, I get offended when people put that on my video, but then I have to like stop and remember, like most times those people leave in that comment don't know me. You don't know me at all. You've never seen my content before. This is probably the first video you saw and you're just assuming that I'm like everyone else. And like, that's the most annoying thing about being a content creator or an influencer right now is that you're grouped in with everyone else. So when these top creators do bad things and break people's trust, those people think that everyone is a liar and is breaking their trust. And it's very disappointing, but I fully understand that mentality and that logic. Now, for brands and influencers, integrity should always come first. So of course, trust is the foundation of any successful partnership, and breaking that trust might seem like it's, a good idea or, might win some of your short-term goals, but in the long term, it's a loss because you may have collected that quick little check, but now your audience doesn't trust you. Now they're not going to watch any future paid partnerships, which means they're going to flop, which means those brands won't want to work with you again, which means your influence and your power goes away, which means you lose money ultimately, you lose opportunities, all because you wanted to be a little liar, a little sneaky sneak. So don't do it. Don't ruin what you've worked hard to build up in the first place. Now, with all that being said, I know we've talked about a lot. I've had a lot of little rants and side tangents and whatnot, but I hope this episode gave you some insight into the darker side of influencer marketing, because it's certainly not all fun and games. And it's a reminder that you need to stay critical, you need to stay informed, and always advocate for honesty from the creators that you're following. So whether you're a creator, a brand, or just a consumer scrolling through your feed, accountability matters. Making sure that you're getting honesty from a creator or a brand matters. Thank you so much for tuning into Cody J Uncensored. If you've experienced or witnessed shady practices like this, I would love to hear your stories. So please reach out to me on social media and send them over or drop them in as a comment. I would love to make a video in the future where I'm talking about your experiences. But ultimately, let's just keep this conversation going. So until next time, stay curious, stay beautiful, and don't let anyone censor you.